Good afternoon. Welcome to the 2021 webinar series. This is webinar number 5. We're going to be listening to Outdoor Education in Waywayseecappo presentation with Eric Mentuck. Today is Thursday, April 8th, 2021. Welcome, everybody. My name, I'm going to go through the agenda here as soon as we get on the right screen. Oops. All right, here we go. Hi. My name is Chantel Henderson. I'm the Indigenous Programs Outreach Coordinator for the First Nations Waste Minimization Project here at the Green Action Center. I'd like to introduce my co-host, Beth.
Hi, everyone.
So me and Beth were the ones who came up with the RISE webinar series, and we're going to do a land acknowledgement first, and then Beth will explain about video, audio, and technical issues. So the Green Action Center is located on the ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, Anishinaabe, Dakota, and Dene peoples. It is also the homeland of the Métis Nation. We acknowledge that our water is sourced from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation, and the hydroelectricity we use comes from numerous First Nation territories here in Manitoba. So our agenda. Land acknowledgement done, personal introductions done. Beth, would you let them know about next item on the agenda?
Sure. I think a lot of people are familiar with the chat function on Zoom, but just in case you're not, that's how we're going to share any questions or comments, and we welcome everyone to introduce themselves as well. So at the bottom of the screen, if you scroll across with your mouse, you'll see in the middle, at the bottom, there's a chat, and you just click on that. And it comes up that you have the option of sending it your comment or question just to the panelists, or if you want everyone to see it, then you use that drop-down menu to click all panelists and attendees. So that would be great if you want to introduce yourself and say hello, or if you want to pose a question or add a comment. So that's how we'll do the Q&A as well, because everyone's mics and video are turned off other than the speaker and the co-host. So if you have any questions about technical issues, just let me know in the chat column, like if you can't hear or something. And that's it. Very straightforward.
All right, so we're going to move into introductions. So Eric Mentuck is our speaker for webinar 5. Eric has a passion for cycling and nature and is an active outdoor enthusiast. He is a proud resident of Waywayseecappo First Nation and has previously worked as an outdoor educator with Waywayseecappo School. He believes that the youth are the future and believes that by providing the next generation with plenty of opportunities to succeed in life, that they can make much needed change for future generations. His goal is to create a nonprofit organization that offers a variety of youth programs that combat mental health issues through culture, language, sports, recreation, and outdoor education. Take it away, Eric.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Also, can you see me? Those are my first questions when it comes to Zoom.
I can see you.
Awesome. Okay, well, I'm just going to start going. Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Mentuck, and I'm from Waywayseecappo, Manitoba. And I want to thank Chantel and Beth for organizing this great opportunity to get the message out to people who are interested. So a little bit about myself. I'm 38 years old, and I'm a husband. I'm a father. I like to carry myself in a good way in my community to try and either inspire, motivate, build more relationships, and help people see a better way of life in the reserves. So I did grow up in Waywayseecappo First Nation. I was I was a product of, I guess, I would hate to say the word product, but I experienced residential school intergenerational effects firsthand. I was going down a path where these effects were having they could have landed me in jail, they could have landed me, not here today. But I experienced a lot of really hardships when I was growing up. I got really good at them. And when I had my first daughter, kind of changed my life and kind of realized, well, if you're going to be a father, you got to do some good things, right? And it was a growing experience from there, but eventually I just decided to change my life around. I wanted to stop drinking. I wanted to stop, all the stuff that was taught to me growing up that was negative. And so I began the journey. And right now, I want to tell you the part of the journey I'm at, and it was introduced just recently. We're creating a nonprofit organization in our community, simply because we believe it's needed. And we have 5 programs that we're going to concentrate on, and those 5 programs are they're not existing right now. They accentuate other programs, either before or after. So we worked around our community, and we planned programs that we believe would either help or excel, right? So those branch off of the outdoor education. And I want to explain to you, people who are watching, about outdoor education and why we started it. And that's why you're all here today. And I hope I can explain it to you very well, where it's kind of painted, and you can kind of see it, and you can kind of understand why. But basically, we started outdoor education in our community school due to bullying. So bullying has been around for a long time, and that's just one. Bullying is one characteristic from residential school, and all the points that we're creating through this program, they counteract residential school. So we believe that outdoor education is it's the reverse effects of what happened at residential school. So in our program, we designed it so that throughout the year, we're reversing what happened in residential school, or at least trying our best. So residential school, it done a lot of damage to our people, and we still see those damages today, every day. In the homes, it's mostly in the homes, and then it branches out from there, kind of gets into the school, and it gets into the community. But we believe that's where the problem is. And we decided, well, we're not going to worry about what's going on at home, because we can't control that. So through the school, we decided we're going to do something about it, right? And the outdoor education program was our answer. So the outdoor education program, I want to tell you guys why we call it outdoor education. So we call it outdoor education because it's simply that we're taking kids out of the school, and we're providing them with, skills that are kind of in today's world, such as mountain biking, backpacking, hiking, running, and then of course all of the other stuff that comes with it, like ecology or biology. There's some other words that describe the layouts of the land, and but outdoor education is one thing. And then when we bring in the culture, that's when it's supposed to be called land-based learning. And that's the gap we're trying to, there's a lot of different cultures in our community, and there's Christians, there's Anishinaabe, who believe in their culture. And we didn't want to upset anyone by saying, okay, we're going to make everyone learn the culture. We wanted to first start by getting people outside, and that's the base, right? And then once we connected the elders to the youth with the language and the cultural teachings, sweat lodge ceremonies, how to pick medicines, how to snare rabbits. These are some of the base level teachings in the culture that we wanted to get. So we started with outdoor education, and then we want to eventually call it land-based learning, but we need the culture and the language there first, right? And we didn't want to offend anyone. We didn't want to scare anyone away. So we tried to plan it out the best we can where we have the most retention. Because you only get a few chances when you're working with youth. Either they're going to be open to you or they're not, right? And we wanted to plan it out where we're giving ourselves the best opportunity to succeed. So getting on to the 10-month program that we developed a 10-month outdoor education plan where every month is a different theme. And that can be tailored to each community. What do you guys do there? Are you a fisherman people? Are you a hunting people? Are you, you can tailor it to what your community is. So in our community, we, September, we had as the theme of elk. And through that's the reality of the elk season, right? Is September. And moving on to, the next month, it was the moose theme. And that's the reality of our lives too, right? That's when the moose mating season happens, and that's when we hunt the moose. And in that month, we had a lot of teachings that were related to the moose, and that's our most sacred animal. How it relates to the medicine wheel, how it relates to our medicines, sort of what a moose does when he's alive, he or she, different parts of the animal that we use culturally and in our ceremonies. And we linked all our days to those teachings. So in our school, we have approximately 18 classes. Sounds right. And if you break it down, in a school our size with 18 classes, there's only, I would say, 20 real school days each month, right? So if you look at that, that's only one class you only get one outdoor education class per month. And we believe that's not enough. We have to have more classes outside. That just relates to, you want to show the kids that this is really something you truly want to get into their life. So you're not going to do that once a month, right? So the occurrence needs to be more. And getting back to the themes, November we had the whitetail rut. So November is the whitetail theme. December was we kind of had it planned for half of the month due to all the action that goes on within the school. And then January we get into ice fishing, we get into snowshoeing, the winter sports. We get into snaring, trapping, trails, and then that goes into sort of February and March. And March is the end of ice fishing season. So in our territory, we have to deal with minus 50 temperatures in those months. So those months we plan to do stuff indoors, which relates to outdoor education or what we want to do. And we wanted to plan for the weather, because with outdoor education, you're always planning with the weather. The class starts as soon as you leave the school. As soon as you're outside, you can tell which way the wind is going. You can talk about the weather. You can talk about what the animals are doing. You can talk about anything outside. So getting back to April, we plan to do trail making, because when April comes around, which is right now, if you were to walk into any bush anywhere in Manitoba, it's very southern Manitoba, it's very open. Like you can see a long ways. It's easier to make trails. It's easy to mark out new trails. Everything's easier, right? So in April, we really hammered away on having trail making and hiking as one of the main options. And trail making also builds into the teamwork part of it, and we teach kids how to be part of a team in a job setting, how to take care of their tools, how to work as a team, how to go from one place, which is the school, into a remote setting and do the work there. Because in the future, not every job is going to have a certain, you go to work and you go to lunch and then you go back to work, right? You have to take your lunch with you and you have to be outside for the duration of the day. So our trail making also is a part of April, but that leads back to the entire program, right? You're making trails for your siblings. So we have the grade 8s who make trails for some of their smaller siblings, and then April, May, June, we have set up for camping, kayaking, canoeing, a lot of water education, and we just kind of want to round it out to being a really good year of kids being outside all year. Of course, this year it didn't happen because of COVID-19 and restrictions being outside. But one point I want to make to that is the only place we were encouraged to go throughout the entire pandemic was outside. So that should explain the importance of outdoor education program. Another key factor I want to explain to you guys is we wanted to make it special to us, and we wanted to make it special to the kids. So we created it's called a mentorship helper program. So the mentorship helper program is called the Yoshkabewis helper program. And in our community, in our language, Yoshkabewis is a helper. So at our ceremonies, that helper, the Yoshkabewis, they're really looked at as special people. They're given their own day. At some ceremonies, they're given their own, sweat lodge ceremony, their own feast. They're given little small feathers to wear on their head while they're at the ceremony, eagle feathers. So that shows the importance of how important and how much needed helper is to our people. So we created the Yoshkabewis helper program where we would take grades 7 and 8s and we would mentor them to be helpers throughout the entire year of the school program. So that we took what it is in a ceremony, which is a small amount of time, and we just expanded that throughout the school year. So the reason for the mentorship program is you need help with the outdoor education program. You cannot rely on one person running a program for an entire school for the whole year. We recommend you have at least 3 employees that are working together. And those 3 employees work with the mentorship program to get the kids volunteer experience, show them how to volunteer, show them how to take on responsibility in developing ideas and showing them how to take a program and the idea of it to a reality, and really taking care of them throughout the year. So that goes back to the ceremony where you want to reward the helpers. So there's many ways we can do that, right? We can reward them each month. We can reward them each week. We can have feasts for them. We can provide them eagle feathers once they're done, or to help them, right? To show them, okay, this is our way of showing you appreciate you. And getting back to the elders, we really want to make a point of it to have elders at our outdoor education each time. Now that could be a teacher within the school, that could be someone who's invited that day, that could be someone who works with a different program, like Brighter Futures, or the health department, or the Jordan's Principle, or whatever you have in your community. But the importance of that is linking that from the elder to the youth, and we all know there's a big disconnection there, and we have to find creative ways to deal with that. So getting back to the elders and why we believe outdoor education is the reverse of residential school. If you were to go and interview your elders on your community and you were to ask them what life was like in 1940, 1930s, 1920s, they would explain to you basically what an outdoor education program is. I'm going to use the elders from my community who I interviewed recently, and they told me, they would be they would have to make their own houses. They would have to make their own clay for the houses, their own log houses. They would all live in a little house, all in the same room. They would have to make their own water in the winter by way of heating it up and bringing it in and warming it up. And they would have to collect wood all day so they would stay warm at night. They would have to help grandma and grandpa check the snare lines, have to help cook. They would have to do a lot of work in order to survive. And that was before residential school. So what happened in residential school was all of those elders, they were all taken away from their parents and they were taken to this horrible place. And from that, a lot of bad things happened, and the effects from that are still today, right? So if you're to interview your elders on what life was like before that, they'll paint the picture for you on what outdoor education looks like. But we have to do that very quickly. That generation are getting very old right now, and we need to really get the information from them on what life was like. So we have a lot of great results from our outdoor education program. The teachers ask for it, the students ask for it. We would love the parents to ask for it, but some parents have their own priorities, right? And it always seems like it's up to us at the school. And just for the record, I don't work at the school. This is all volunteer for me right now. And the only reason it's volunteer on my behalf is because I believe it's important, and I believe as a community member, I'm okay with my life. I can volunteer all this time to this because I believe it's important. As a helper, I'm an Oshkosh helper. I believe it's my job to do this. I don't need anyone I would like to be paid, but I don't need that right now. I have my own business where I make money. So I can do this, right? But in your communities, you have to find someone that's willing to do that, right? Because it's a hard job. It's very demanding. You got to think outside the box. You got to take in consideration everything. And, when I say everything, weather, people, transportation, kids, more weather, who's not feeling it today. There's many things that come about it, and you just have to put a shield on and say, that doesn't matter. The kids matter. They need this education. We got to get them out, get them back. Quickly, another point I wanted to make was the diabetes. The diabetes is huge in our community. And we have many ways with today's technology to track the amount of calories we're burning through outdoor education. We have many ways to track that. But the reality of it is, when you take a kid from the school and you take them out on a hike, a walk, a bike ride, any physical activity, that's so much better than them not doing that, than them sitting in their classroom and learning about the trees, right? So the physical activity part of it is very important, and it just ties back to the diabetes and the healthy eating part of it, the nutrition part of it. So that's a small part of it. That was only 20 minutes of me talking, but there's so many more branches that come off of outdoor education. One quick point I also want to make is we bought a fleet of mountain bikes for our kids. And the reason we bought a fleet of mountain bikes was we believed that we needed to grab the kids' attention. We needed them to say, well, look at that. They spent $40,000 on us. They want us to go outside. So the bikes were a tool, right? And I know that I've seen a lot of people take kids on outdoor education, and I'm sure you guys know too, but if you don't have a physical activity, if you don't have something to get their dopamine levels up and them feeling good, they're going to be like this, okay? So they're going to be standing with their arms crossed, and they're going to be, you need to get that physical education, that activity out. And then, we all know when you work out, you feel good, right? And that's your moment where you can get into them what you want them to get out of the program. Is it a language? Is it culture? Is it school? Is it bullying? Is it whatever it is, whatever message you want? There's a certain time when it just opens up and it allows itself to be heard. So that's the key point with providing kids with whatever amount of money you need to spend on equipment, high quality equipment. Please do it. Our youth are worth it. That's one part of it. So with the bike program, we got everyone's attention, and that helped us be successful in this attempt. And now it's instilled in the community members. So we have a branch off of that, the mountain bike program for kids who are keen on it. And we have that set up. It's going right now. Even with all the restrictions, there's many ways you can be safe and bike and sanitize and keep your distance and still get physical activity. And that's one branch of it. And okay, so they're at that branch, and then there's a whole world of mountain biking to discover. There's trails all over the world. There's races. There's you name it. It's out in the world, right? So you're giving your kids a leaf, something to hop off from the reserve life, and you're giving them a chance to just fly off into the world, doing something they have, right? And that's what outdoor education will provide you with. It'll provide you with many, many, many opportunities for you to be open-minded about. And I think I'm at my time limit here, so I'm at 26 minutes, but I think we'll go to some questions here. I've seen some text questions, but I did not read them, so I hope you all heard me right through, because I did not check on that either.
You could go for another like 8 minutes if you wanted.
For sure, I'll do that.
All right.
So again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a great opportunity for me to really tell you all the tips and tricks that we've learned and why we do them, right? Like everything we planned, it was well thought out. We didn't do this for just for the heck of it. We did this because we know it's an opportunity. So more branches that come out of outdoor education, the walking and hiking club. So you probably have trails built on your community, but no, there's a lot of things that come with that, right? Our number one thing that we really always think about is safety for the youth, safety for the teachers, safety for the elders, safety for the animals, safety for the the earth, safety for everyone involved. That's the main thing. So with our culture, we have ways to make offerings, to do all that, right? But at the back of your mind, you still always got to prepare for what's happening in front of you. So always have an emergency response plan. Always have, there's things you're not gonna be prepared for. Like one time we had one young girl who was on a hike, and we were about a kilometer in, and she froze, right? Like she was like, oh, and she didn't move for like 20 minutes. So some of her fellow students had to calm her down. I had to stay there. I had to just wait there, and she just calmed down, and eventually she walked again. But there will be things, like say we had one kid who left the group on his own bike, and he went down a hill fast and he crashed. And that's another thing. We had an elder walking on the ice, and she went off the hard packed path and she kind of fell in. She was okay, but that's just another factor. There's many things, heat, you got to be hydrated. There's a lot of different things that you need to consider, but those are all in everyday life, right? So that's just getting back to what life was like before residential school. That's a very important thing that we must do when we're developing our outdoor education programs for our schools, is to really find out what life was like before that residential school. The other problems that come from residential school, we all know, like there's a lot of negative ones. I don't even want to list them, but the outdoor education program, you're teaching language, culture, physical activity, teamwork, individual work, and the teachers, they can use that as leverage in the classroom, right? Like a lot of times teachers would say, okay, well, You know your outdoor education class is coming up. You know they have a good plan for you. You know, you got to do your work, you got to listen, you got to behave. And that gives the teachers an opportunity to, you know, be more effective in their class. And we have to work it out in our own community on how we're going to get all this equipment. So we did that, right? And we went through grants, we went through fundraising, we went through working with chief and council, Jordan's principal, health, on how they can help out. So you're really becoming a community. You're trying your best to bring everyone to the planning table and get this all planned out financially, you know, with your budgets, your plans, everything. But getting back to the pandemic, we were only told that safest place to be is outside, right? And I'm assured that there's going to be more pandemics in the future, and we have to plan for that right now, because everyone knows in this chat room or this Zoom meeting that our youth took a mental health blow this year, and it's going to be hard to come back. It's going to be very hard to come back from that. So we have to plan outdoor education right now, because there's going to be another pandemic in the future, and I don't think we can afford to lose another year to any youth where this happens again. And if you have a plan that's built and it's safe, everyone agrees on it, and it's outdoors and it's all year, and a pandemic lasts a year, we all know that, you know, you're set, you're covering your bases, and you're ready for the future. And that's what we're trying to do. So also getting back to more teachings that we get with the youth, through that Oshkabios Helpers program, we're teaching kids how to learn the Minose Win Shuga Minoya Win. And in our culture, that means good health and good fortune. So when we do something good for people, good things come back to us. We all know that. But we want to teach that in school, right? Because I don't think there's a subject, there could be, but I could be wrong. I don't know if there's a subject that teaches good health and good fortune. And that's why I'm here today, is because I've prayed for good health and good fortune. I've given away a lot. I've given away many, many things, and I know it comes back to me. So that's why I'm really concentrating on the youth right now. And I know the good things that come back to us will go to what we're concentrating on. And that's what I'm doing, right? So with the hunting, we were hunting with the youth in 2020 during elk season, and we were able to feed 100 houses in our community through our elk harvest. And the butchering was done at the off-campus high school, where students learned how to butcher meat, how to pack it, and we actually got youth to deliver it. And we had youth hunting with us, packing it out of the bush, cutting it up, all of that. So we've shown them how to do all that, how to, you know, ask Creator to bless us with hunting, how to take from the land, and how to get it to elders in their homes. So at that moment, when elders are in their homes eating the elk meat or the moose or the deer, whatever, they're not having a real ceremony, but they're eating, and they're thinking, wow, this is so good, I'm so thankful. So through that moment, that's when that good energy is going out to the universe, and it's going back to whoever needs it. And you know, it's nothing bad about it. It's all good. And we try to promote that in our Oshkabios Helper program, where they're giving back, they're volunteering, they're doing work, they're not asking for anything in return, but we're showing them appreciation throughout the year. And that's something that's not taught in any curriculum with our culture. Our culture is not taught, but this is our opportunity to do it. And each community is different. I read on the comments here, some people from different communities. If we all create our outdoor education programs, 10 years down the road, we're going to see the effects. This is prevention for meth, prevention for diabetes, prevention for alcoholism. It's prevention for all of that. We're going to see the effects in 10 years. But when we all have our program set up, we're going to be able to do cultural exchanges where Waywayseecappo can trade with Sapatawiak, Sapatawiak can trade with Wayway. and we can learn from each other. Little Black River, we can trade there. We can trade with someone, you know, in Taduli Lake. We can trade information in different programs, and that's a long-term goal, is to have a cultural exchange within our areas where we teach each other about our cultures and our programs. And there's a lot of good things to come about it. And I don't know what else to say. There's many more to say, but I'll stop there.
All right, great. That's amazing work you're doing. We do have a bunch of questions in the chat room. So I'm going to start with one of the first ones here. So, okay, so this one's from Grace. She's wondering, can outdoor education classes be used in urban settings for urban indigenous peoples? If so, how do we get out of the red tape of it all, since not being on the reserve?
Okay, so one idea with that is to find places outside of the city that are wildlife management areas or crown land or public parks, where you can just get out there first, get out on the land, get kids' feet on the land outside in a good area, right? Because when you get out there, you know, as soon as you're walking around in the bushes for, say, an hour, you feel the electricity get up through and into your spine. That's what it is for me, and it could be different. It is different for every individual on this earth. So the key part is looking on your government maps, ask hunters, find a way to get from the city to somewhere safe outside, and that's your first step. And then I believe things will open up for you.
All right, great. That's a good idea. There are a lot of walking trails here in Winnipeg as well. But yeah, outside the city is even better. Next question is, as a fellow, this one's from Michael's. As a fellow outdoor education teacher, how can I incorporate more cultural teachings into my lessons? Do I need to have an elder lead these discussions?
Okay, so this is a very important question, and I work with teachers in my school on how they can do that without me being there. So we're all human beings, right? That's the one thing we have in common. We're all the same. Some of our beliefs are different, and some of our how we were raised is different. But all of us teachers, we all have this one thing in common, and that's providing the best we can for the youth that are there. So if say if someone, you know, doesn't know how to go about asking someone for knowledge, this is a tricky part, because some elders, keep in mind, some elders have been through residential school and they still carry those effects of negativity, you know, what bad things that happen. So always be aware of elders and how they feel about things. That's the number one thing to keep in mind. But you can pass tobacco to an elder. First, ask them, say, I'm about to pass you tobacco and I'm going to ask you a question. It's very hard to pass tobacco to someone without them knowing, because they have to say yes. So in our culture, they have to say yes. But the person asking really has to be aware too of what's going on. They can't use that tobacco in a manipulative way, right? They have to understand there's two people, there's an agreement. What's the best way to go about that? And being considered is the number one key there. And you're allowed to. You don't have any ethnicity. If the person you're asking is Anishinaabe or Cree or Dene or whatever, first find out what's the correct way to do that. So in our culture, passing tobacco is the correct way to do that. And then they'll tell you what's next. And if they get offended, then you know it might not be safe, right? And that's the reality of it. You just gotta play it by ear, but don't give up. So ask an elder with tobacco in a good way, and if that doesn't work, keep trying.
All right, great. Thank you, Mike, for that question. Our next question is from Sandy. She's wondering where you got your funding from, within the community, education funding, somewhere else.
Okay, so we initially worked with Jordan's Principal, and they have a lot of programs and a lot of mission statements that kind of lead into what we're trying to do. So diabetes awareness, suicide prevention, cultural awareness, cultural learning, language revitalization, being outdoors, physical activity. So we tailored it through them on the bike program, on how it meets all those, how outdoor education meets all those. And we got it approved through Jordan's Principal. We were trying to work with the health office, but they have their own ideas on life, I guess, and that didn't work out. We also worked with Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's. We applied for them through the outdoor grant, and they provided us with top quality gear. We wrote. We're always aware of what grants are coming out, and we want to always be prepared for that. So we have we write literature out, and we have it ready to copy and paste into grants. And we're successful that way, but you still never know, right? So with the grants, you always have to apply for grants. Another way to go about it is chief and council. If your community is blessed with funds, extra funds, that's always a good way to go. But don't allow your community to give the end of the year funds. Our youth are very important, and they deserve the start of the year funds. So fundraising is another way. Raffles. I just finished a fleet of raffles from March 3rd to now, and I raised about maybe 18,000. There's a lot of good ways to go about it. So Google ideas on how to make money with raffles. Google grant writing, all that sort of stuff. Bring all those program heads together, get a meeting with them, and tell them what you want to do. And some of them will have funds. Pool the funds, get it going. And then lastly, if you're forced to ask chief and council, then ask them.
Great. Thanks for the response. And the question, Sandy, she has a follow-up question. She was also wondering, how do we recruit land-based knowledge keepers such as hunters, fishermen, trappers, gatherers?
Yep. This is another huge, it's very important in that you have the right person. You have to look within your own community, and that's where it has to be from. That person has to be having a good standing with youth and elders. They have to have criminal record checks, child abuse registry checks, their own transportation. They gotta know what it's like to hunt in the day, not just at night. They gotta know how to hike. They gotta be very open on today's culture, as it looks at as outdoor education. So they got to be aware of hiking, biking, all the good products that are out there, how to use them, GPS. And once you find that person, you have to really empower them and say, you know what, this is an important job. We believe in you. What do you need? What help do you need? How much do you want to be paid? This should not be, you should not shorten any of that, because that person is gonna go through a lot of hardships, a lot of trials and tribulations, big hurdles they're gonna have to overcome. And you don't want to have something bad in your community where everyone knows, oh, that was the guy who was hired for outdoor education and he failed miserably. You don't want that to be the main thing people know. You want it to be looked at and known as that person was hired, that person was helped, empowered, and he succeeded. That's what you want to do, right? You really want to empower someone in your own community who's a hunter, has all those good traits. Like I said, I'm available to be hired to come and help you in your community and find that person. I'm a great hunter myself. I can hunt that person down, and I could say, this is the person. I'll work with them. So yeah, if you want to email me, mentek3000@gmail.com.
All right, great. Next question is from Chanel. She says, thank you so much for your knowledge. They're wondering if you have any advice on how you plan your activities to include students who have disabilities, or maybe it's their first time ice fishing or riding a bike.
Yep. So this gets back to the how many people you have out there. So you got to have people who are you got to have someone who's handling all the kids who are athletes already, hockey players, because they're going to take off on bikes or a hike and they're going to go way ahead. So you got to accommodate them, and you got to accommodate the middle ground, and you got to accommodate the people who are at the back of the path, because that's the reality we face. And early on, I was trying to take a group of 20 students out, and I was having to bike to the front, tell them to wait, and then wait for everyone in the back, and then go back, and which was okay. I was okay with that, but also, this is where quads come into effect. If you have a really good 6-seater Polaris Ranger or whatever, and you got to have that for your safety of your elders and your teachers. So not every teacher or EA is going to be available to come and bike, man. Like, that's the reality too. So we plan where we should have at least 3 6-seater Polaris Rangers, which would accommodate 20 people. And that's your safety. That's how you're going to get someone with a disability who can't walk out involved, right? And you got to involve everyone. But if you have your Squavius Helpers program, that's what's going to help you too. So you can count on those kids to really help you. I myself, I broke my leg in August, and I was still able to hunt, right? I asked the youth to help me. It's like, you have to carry the load. I'll guide you with what I know, but you have to carry the load. So we were successful there. And that's the bulletproof idea of this outdoor education program. We cannot allow, if the teacher has a broken leg, we cannot allow that to determine if this program goes on or not. So you just have to just keep finding out ways to look in your community, and you got to plan for your specific disabilities. You got to plan for specific people. This is not a one thing for everyone. It's every human is unique, and you got to consider every human. You got to do all your homework, and that just gets back to the point of, okay, well, our youth matter. They deserve this. We have to give this to them, right?
Great. All right. So our next question is from Ashley. She says she teaches in Erickson, where there is a high Indigenous population. She's wondering, what are some resources available to non-Indigenous people to learn more about various Indigenous topics so that we can incorporate more of the culture into our classroom and programs?
Yep. So this one too, this is a branch off of the outdoor education program. So we want to create our outdoor education program in Wayway, where first of all, it's our Indigenous youth who are benefiting from it. So our Indigenous youth firstly have to know who they are. So when they get to high school and adulthood, they can look back and they say, well, I know who I am. I know what I can do. I've done it in school. And once that's going, you want to maintain that outdoor education program. But the branch off of that in regards to educating non-Indigenous people, we've invited schools from the town districts to our program, and they come and they biked with us. And that was our opportunity to say, all right, well, this is a reserve. Here's the history of it. Here's a little bit of history of residential school. Here's a little bit of history of racism. Once you invite them, you can teach them, right? So our outdoor education program in the future, we want to offer our experiences to the surrounding towns, the surrounding municipalities, because right now, here's the education of, say, this one is the Indigenous knowledge, this one is Western knowledge, right? Like curriculum, math, ELA. Here's how it is on the scale. This is the reality. It's way up there like that, right? We got to balance that out. And this is one way to balance that out. We have to believe that outdoor education we're allowed to do it, right? It's our inherent right to teach our kids about their culture. So that's one way to look at it. Firstly, look at your own Indigenous youth and concentrate on them first. And then later, if you have the resources and the the vision to incorporate non-Indigenous people to come in and learn, then yes.
All right, great response. I really like how you talked about the balancing, with the Western versus, Indigenous. It's very true like that in many systems here.
Yep.
Another question. I think you already answered it, but I'm just going to ask Ramona. I was curious if your school is your school operated by Chief and Council or MFNSS or MF
No, our community school was on its own back in about maybe 12 or 15 years ago. We had our own school board, but there just wasn't enough funds, right? Back to the education funding, unfairness. There wasn't enough funds, so they partnered with Park West School Division, and then all of a sudden there was a lot of funds available, and yada yada yada. That's unfair, but this just gets back to the point of it's up to us. It's up to each human being, Oshkabi's helper, to say, well, it's not about money. We're going to get it going somehow. And in regards to partnership, people will have a negative thing to say about you if they can foresee that you're going to be doing something good for your people. So you always got to be aware of partnerships, and make sure 100% that it's going to be positive, and someone's not going to come back and say, well, no, we can't allow this because it doesn't fall into the curriculum. That's that balance of the Western knowledge and the traditional knowledge. And so that's one thing you got to look at it in regards to partnerships. But we are with Park West School Division.
All right. Thanks so much, Eric, for your inquisitive program and giving so much information and knowledge to our educators and teachers who are watching. That was the end of our questions for the Q&A part.
Okay.
And Beth, did you want to add any closing remarks?
I just wanted to make sure everyone saw in the chat feature that the webinar recording will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, and we'll be sending it out to all participants, or everyone who registered. So it will be shared. And I also wanted to say how much I enjoyed your presentation, Eric. What you're doing is amazing. So thank you.
Yeah, I had a question I don't think was answered. What age groups do you focus on?
Okay, so our nonprofit, we're focusing on ages 8 to 30. But here's what I found when teaching kids. We all know in our Indigenous communities that there's problems with kids, not kids, but youth who are aged, say, 16 to 30. We all know that's a very tough age where they're already into addictions, hard drugs, alcohol, some are in jail. We all know that. The perfect opportunity we found was grade 4 to 6. If you want to change someone's life, then grade 4 to 6 is that perfect opportunity. They're very open. They're very smart. They know what's going on. And if you have that physical activity and that good atmosphere for them to learn in, it's going to be that much stronger. So grades 7 and 8, the truth is kids are already getting into drugs. Kids are already getting into beer and, alcohol, carrying bear mace, posing with guns on Snapchat. We already know that. The perfect age is grade 4 to 6, where you really want to change someone's life. And that's where I believe in schools is very important. But the rest of the ages, it's also important. You just got to tailor how you're going to connect, right? But the easiest way is grade 4 to 6.
All right, great. And you mentioned, I guess, some of the activities to focus on would be, I guess, depending on your region, hunting elk, moose hunting season, fishing, trapping, What other activities could teachers learn and teach doing outdoor education?
You can teach whatever you want outdoors. Like I said, um, with the culture of outdoors in our general society, our general, including every ethnicity, there's many good. It's an industry, right? We all know that. There's many things in that industry that can be taught, that can be used as that tool to grab that youth's attention. That's where we can think outside the box. We can think of what we like to do as individuals, and we could say, I want to teach wakeboarding, I want to teach paddleboarding, I want to teach gardening, I want to teach whatever it is. But your job is to really bring the quality of that, right? You don't want to shortchange yourself on anything. Yeah, it's good to use your resources and get volunteers and all that, but these are very important one try ideas, right? Where you really have to hit a home run on your first try, if not the second and third. But after that, if you lose attention, then it's really hard to get back, right? So just think outside the box on those ideas. There's many things to do, and if it's outdoor education, then it should be allowed, right? But once you get to land based, you want to bring an elder in and you want to connect the language, the culture, and
All right. And you mentioned they could contact you via your email. Is that mentalk3000@gmail.com?
yes, you can contact me there, and I'm open to working with anyone to help them build their programs. Right now, I'm working with Sapatewiak to help them build their program, and I'm always open to helping. But if you want to hire me and you want to bring me out and you want me to help you create a vision or help you see what your community has, I'm available to do that. And it can be tailored to any time, like a week, a month, 1 week for 10 months, summer program. And with that, one important thing I want to do is any money that comes to me through that, like a large portion of that's just going right back to our youth. And it's just another form of fundraising, right? And I'm not greedy. I'm very generous. So if you hire me, it's going to go to the youth.
Great to hear. All right. Sheila just wanted to comment is saying thank you for the informative presentation. Keep up the awesome work.
Hey, Rich.
Yeah. All right. So I just want to say, Miigwech, thank you for sharing your knowledge and the success of your program. And I'm sure word is going to get out and you're going to be a busy man for the next year. So
Yeah,
I've been watching your fundraising efforts online, and it's amazing to see how you're actually like taking initiative and getting out there fundraising and actually purchasing these bikes, and even creating those trails. That was amazing.
Yeah, well, the thing with that is when we provided the outdoor education program, a lot of youth were like, oh, who's Eric? Oh, and there's a lot of youth watching me right now. So my education to the youth it's never over, right? Like there's always youth watching me. It's just real life, right? And so that's what I'm doing. I'm showing the youth I'm willing to put my name on the line for them, and that's how much they matter to me.
Good. You sound like you're going to be a great leader.
Maybe, yeah.
All right. So I just want to say thanks so much. I will want to plug the final webinar in our series. It's going to be happening next week. And it is also based on land-based education. It is presented by Kiskinha Makiwin with Taylor Galvin. It's land-based education. It's a Indigenous science camp for Indigenous youth. So come check it out, register ahead of time. It's happening next week, Thursday, April 15th from 12 to 1. And otherwise, that's it. I want to wish you everyone have a good day and take care.